Yeah, I never really realized just how weird koalas are. What is up, y'all? It's your man, Dad Dude, bringing you guys another video. I'm giving out subscriptions down below, so go hit that button. I'd appreciate it. Episode 2 of Heaven's Design Team, if I'm being honest, was not as good as episode 1. Now, don't get me wrong, I still had quite a few laughs from this episode, but it didn't quite have me in tears like episode 1 did. But I continue to be just impressed by how imaginative and creative they make the process of designing these animals in the show. Like, you have designers who get into like somewhat fights where they're designing animals just to go back and forth at each other. So in this episode, we get to see how the squids have evolved and the dolphins and whales have evolved to like go back and forth with each other. So we get to see that, okay, now the squids come up, they're designed a new way to avoid the whales. And so the guy who designs the whales innovates upon a new design to make the whales more efficient at capturing the squids. And they just go back and forth over creating new designs for the animals. And I like the aspect. It's so creative where it is. These designers are butting heads. And so instead of fighting themselves or arguing themselves, they do it with the animals that they design. And it's just very fun to watch. Also, each designer has their own personality, and that personality is reflected in the animals that they design. So you have one character where she's kind of weird and quirky, and the things that she thinks are cute aren't really things that are cute in the traditional sense, and the animals that she designed reflect that. So in this episode, we get to see where she designs the koala bear, and she lists all of these things off that are just weird as hell about the koala bear, but she thinks are really cute. How it eats poison, or how its butthole is put on backwards so that its children in the pouch can eat the poop, and all this other stuff that you don't think about as far as koalas that make them so freaking weird, but they are. And so she just lists down all these things, how the koala has 2 penises and just all this weird shit. But in the context of the show, it really works with what they're doing, because the other designers are all so impressed and horrified by what she's able to do, because they all respect each other and what they all bring to the table, but they're all distinct in how they like to design their animals, and they're very distinct in the way they go about designing their animals. And so it makes for some nice chemistry between the characters in the show, and they have to come together and maybe work together or get ideas from each other on how to design their animals. In the last episode, we learned why we can't have flying horses. In this one, we learned why we can't have unicorns. And there's a whole joke segment about why we can't have unicorns. And the guy who wants unicorns tries all these different things to get unicorns because he really wants to have unicorns, just like he really wanted to have flying horses. And just time and time again, he is met with why, nah, it just won't happen for us. We can't have unicorns. And it's just little things like that in this show that really hit where the comedy really hits. At least it does for me. And visually, I think it's really cool to watch the designers like change up their design on an animal, and they instantly create the animal, and we as the viewer get to see that. So when they want to put the horn on the unicorn, we get to see it. When they want to make the unicorn, make the horn hollow, or make the unicorn stupid, or when they want to make the squid emit certain kinds of light, or squirt ink, or all these different things that like in the real world were like built upon years and years of evolution. In the show, they happen just like that because the designer wants to implement a change, and so they can just do it. Also, in this episode, we find out that there is an entire department just for insects, and the insect department is full of a bunch of dudes who are kind of weird. And I found that joke to be pretty funny. Like, I have friends who are super into insects, and they are, for lack of a better term, weird. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, it just is. And I like that the show decided to put that joke in there, because I do think it reflects somewhat on how people are in the real world who are super into insects, who are like really like spiders or ants or beetles or whatever insects you want to put in there. I'm not saying these people are necessarily like not people you want to hang out with, but hey, they're a little odd, they're a little different, and for lack of a better way to put it, they're weird. I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep making videos about Heaven's Design Team, because like I said in my video on episode 1, there's no real plot, there's no real storyline. I would just be making videos telling you about which jokes are funny, which that might be cool and all, but I would prefer to be talking about characters and what they do and how they progress through the story episode after episode, and I wouldn't really be doing that. So we'll see. I guess I'll keep watching and see how I feel about episodes 3, 4, and 5 and go from there. But again, so far I am liking the show. Episode 2 wasn't as good as episode 1, but it was still enjoyable, and I still recommend you give this show a chance and check it out. Alright guys, all I have for you on this one. If you like this video, go hit that thumbs up, and if you are so inclined, subscribe and share. It would help me out a lot. If you didn't like the video, let me know why in the comments. We can talk about it. I respond to almost everything. I'll see you guys in the next one.